Okay, Internet. I'm fine. How are you? I don't care how you are. I mean, I'm assuming you're fine. If you're not fine, I hope you. Okay, I guess I care. Please be fine. If you're better than fine, I'm jealous, but doesn't matter. Anyways, this is. I'm Taylor. That's the shittiest start to this one yet. And this is a Cranky Comic Book Review. I'm tired today, people. It's March 16th, 2022. It's a fairly short stack. And I'm not... The cranky moniker is somewhat self... I kind of labeled myself that. It's also kind of earned. Other people have called me that as well when it comes to comics and mystery boxes and everything else. It's probably justified. It probably is. But I'm not going to be all that cranky today. I don't think. It's not a horrible week for comics. It's a slim week, but it's not necessarily bad as far as what I picked up. That said, we're going worst to best, like always, and yeah. Science fiction. Beyond the Beyond. Or the Beyond Beyond? I think it's Beyond the Beyond. But it could be the Beyond Beyond. Scout Comics. Tropiano on writing, I'm not sure the first name, and Fernando on art, I'm not sure the first name. This is not horrible. It reminds me of like Silver Age sci-fi, kind of updated to like sort of more modern stuff. There's a mystery. There's missing or dead parents. There's a girl who's obsessed with finding them. She's in trouble with school. I don't want to spoil more than that. I dig the art. It's clean. It's got a simple line work. It's pretty effective. And you usually know what's going on. The story's a little clunky. There's a bit where like it just seems like it could use a pass with an editor to come through and like clean up a little bit of it as far as that goes. And then the dialogue is what really kind of bugged me on this. It just seems very dated and not very natural. And I get it could be set in the future, so maybe that's how people talk in the future. That's a good excuse, but it doesn't necessarily make for a great read right now. It's not awful. Other people are probably going to disagree with you on this one. This is probably going to be higher up on other people's list this week. But yeah, it's just something just felt off about it. It's, again, on a different weekend, it might have been higher, but this is actually not a horrible week for comics, and there's just not enough here to grab me and really make me care about continuing the story right now. If I had a way to read it digitally for free, I wouldn't say no, because I don't think it's awful. I don't think it's bad. I mean, it's just not great. It's probably fine. Look, we're starting with a fine week of comics. All right, speaking of fine week of comics, we have the world's finest. This is not finest. This is, hang on, let me just... The World's Fine comic, number one. It's finest. This is written by Mark Waid, art by Dan Mora, Tamara Dunville, and the colors. I love Dan Mora's art. Mark Waid tells a serviceable story. He knows how to tell a story. He's been doing this for years. He's an old hat. It's just there's nothing really special about this, and I don't know why it's now World's Finest instead of just a Batman-Superman title or whatever. It just sort of feels kind of like another... I don't know, not necessarily a useless title, but I mean, all comics are probably useless, but this feels a little more useless than most. It does feel like it's sort of set in a different era, or maybe Mark Waid's trying for timelessness. It doesn't have the goofiness of the original Silver Age World's Finest, but it's not overly serious, and it does kind of have some throwbacky looking character designs and stuff, so it is set in a different time-ish, I think, although there does seem to be modern technology and stuff and all that. It's not bad. The Doom Patrol guest stars in this, and I love the Doom Patrol. My problem is with that is they don't really seem Doom Patrol-ish. They're not really acting goofy, and they kind of well-behaved, which is not really the Doom Patrol. But, I don't know, it's decent. It's fine. It's not the finest. It's okay. For a first issue, it's not horrible. It just didn't quite have enough of a hook for me to, like, care. So I probably won't be reading this one any further either. All right, another one. And I like this title. I really do. This is What's the Furthest Place from Here, number... What is this? 5? Is it only issue 5? I guess it's issue 5. This is probably going to get pushed to the trade pile for me. It's because, like, 5 issues in, there's still no idea what the hell's going on. And I like the mystery. I like the sort of pace. I love the art. I kind of like all of it, except for, like, there needs to start getting to be a point to this. And, like leaving your audience in the weeds for 5 issues without enough clues as far as, like, any real way in, I don't know. I don't think it's the most effective storytelling. It's close for me. I might give it one more issue because I kind of really kind of do like it's like a weird dystopian-ish future where there's no grown-ups and they're trying to figure out what's happened to them. And there's a little bit of hints and clues, but there's really not enough to like grab onto to have any sense of like what the real story is yet. And that's kind of what, like, I'm at the point where I'm like, come on, give me some of the real story. We've had 5 issues of like these little micro chapters of like snippets and vignettes of like these kids going through some stuff, but like it just kind of hasn't gone really anywhere other than they've traveled from one place to now they're at a carnival. There's some stops along the way and stuff, and like they're looking for a girl who left or disappeared. That's kind of it. And like there's the world around it that's interesting, but like I need the plot to actually start doing something. And so it's probably gonna get trade weighted for me because the pacing per issue, there's just not enough story here per issue for me to like justify spending the money right now. And so yeah, I'll probably just push this to the back and read it when it's all collected because it's fun enough and it's intriguing enough. Just the budget's not going to allow for it. All right. So I reviewed this one about a month ago, and I thought it was over. I was wrong. That was regarding the matter of Oswald's body. Now I'm pretty sure it's over. I'm pretty sure this is the last issue. I thought it had a weird wrapped up ending last time, and I thought the whole series was done because it like seemed like it could have been. It was just not a very effective one. I'm kind of glad I was wrong because this is a better ending in here. Still not great or not super fantastic, but it's not bad. It's a solid wrap up to this story. It sort of adds to a conspiracy of like, you know, whether or not Oswald actually killed Kennedy and like, or the government was involved and stuff. And it has an ending that like will wrap it all up better than I thought it did last time. That said, it's not going to change the world. It's probably not going to change anybody's opinion of the JFK assassination or anything else like that. I could see it turning into some like little weird miniseries maybe, but I don't think it'd probably be a very good one. It's not. It's okay. This is an okay ending to an okay book. So, all right. Yeah, we're gonna go this. Slumber #1. This is Dream Police. Not really. Dream Detective. Dream Solver. And Murders. This is an interesting book. There's a lady that can travel in dreams and kill nightmares, along with something else that's kind of along for the ride. And then there's a detective trying to solve serial killing murderers, and they're all kind of getting wrapped up together. The art's a little wonky for this. It seems weirdly cartoony in places. And like there's a weird trippy dreaminess that kind of sometimes works and sometimes really doesn't. That said, you're not really... I'm never really confused with a whole lot of what's going on in this art, but like... It's just, I don't know. I'm not sure on this one. I might give it one more issue because I kind of didn't hate it. I like the kind of bright candy colors when you're in the dream world. And I kind of like the concept of it. But like when you're awake and stuff, the cartooniness just kind of seems a little jarring. And the facial features just don't seem to fit the rest of the story and stuff with what's going on in the rest of the story. It's decent. It's probably a fine plus. It has an interesting idea and an interesting hook. It's just the art doesn't quite seem to match it, and that's not necessarily horrible, but it's just kind of like throws it off a bit. I think a better artist would have made this a better story, and that's sometimes a weird nature of comics is where like since it's a collaborative effort, you kind of have to work with what you have. And I don't know. I don't think the artist is necessarily doing that with any favors. So, all right. Next, we have Land of the Living Gods, #2. The first one, I thought it was really weirdly paced, and I didn't love. This is better. It's still not, like... I mean, I didn't hate it. I had some really interesting ideas, and there's some really interesting ideas that have continued into this. This is a more cohesive, like, issue as far as the story goes, and it's more direct and straightforward. And like... It seems like it's taken a step up from the first issue. I'm liking this. I'll probably give it one more, at least to really see. It's kind of still on the fence for me a little bit. There's a lot of like slang used and then like immediately translated, and it's almost excessive where you're like, okay, I get it. I get you using slang. I get it. I don't need to know necessarily have a translation dialogue of all of it. Some of it I think I could get from story context, but I sort of understand why they're doing it. And it is Afrofuture. Holy shit, words are hard. Yeah, Afrofuturism. There you go. That's, I think, what I was trying to say, I think. I don't even know anymore, people. It's an interesting take on the future, and whether or not gods are living, and whether or not, like, people have supernatural powers and ties to the gods in, like, 1,000 years in the future where humanity is mostly doomed, and this character might be the savior of it all, or might be delusional. No, it's unclear. It's okay. I didn't hate this one. Like I said, I liked it better than the first issue. All right, next. Stillwater, The Escape. This is a one-off, like where other people are playing in the Stillwater playground and telling stories of people that have managed to escape Stillwater. If you've not read Stillwater, it's a story by Zdarsky and Perez where like the people inside this town live forever. They don't age, they don't do anything else, and they heal from everything else. But as soon as they leave town, they start to age and grow old. And like the town's trying to do everything they can to keep people in and protect their secret so they can live forever, but a lot of people just want to get old and like go live a normal life after a while. And so this is like tales that might or might not have happened to people and that might or might not have escaped. It's unclear as to whether or not any of it has. It's not going to, you don't need this to understand any of the rest of the Stillwater story. It's not going to change your opinion on it. It's a fun little like one-off. And yeah, it's like telling ghost stories kind of, and that's by a fire. And the framing device, I know another reviewer had an issue with it. I didn't mind it. I mean, it's kind of a ridiculous concept anyways, like a town where, like, you know, if you expand the borders of the town, more people live forever. There's no real rhyme or reason to that either. So, like, yeah, this sort of doesn't, it's a little goofy, but you know, it's a whole little goofy idea. So, I liked it. All right, this one I like better than I thought I would, because I don't give a rat's ass about this character. Well, but yeah, we have Carnage #1. This is Ram V on the main story, and that's why I picked it up, because I dig Ram V's writing generally, and I really liked his writing on this. It's a horror story, the way he's telling it, with serial killers and, like, the symbiote and Carnage, or, you know, Carnage, Barnes, Cletus Cassidy, blah-de-blah-de-blah, serial killer, blah-de-blah-de-blah. More evil than Venom, because they realized Venom was popular, so instead of making him super bad, they had to make him kind of good so they could sell more comics and have a Venom story. And so they had to make something worse for Venom to fight, so Carnage came along, which is just the 90s-ish, 90s thing ever. But Ram V's Hands is kind of a deft take of it, and it's like, it is kind of creepy. It does have a true kind of horror element to it, and I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen in that part of it. There's a backup story by Dave Michelini I don't give a shit about, and then there's a couple little Ty Templeton cartoons at the back that are kind of cute. It's just, it was not from the era of Carnage, and like I said, it's not, in case you couldn't tell by my so clear tone, I just never really gave a rat's ass. But, I dig it, because Ram V has managed to make me sort of want to like find out what the hell's happening in this story, and that's a pretty good feat. And so I think if you're on the fence on this one, and you enjoy Ram V's writing, or you enjoy kind of a good horror story, pick it up. I think you could do worse than this. There's worse than this in the pile, and yeah, trust in the V. There you go. Next, we have Nightwing #90. Nightwing's probably DC's best ongoing title right now. It's a fun ride. Tom Taylor has this like sort of this nice balance between like seriousness and like lightheartedness that he's playing with, and it works. I miss Bruno Redondo's on the art. I think his art paired a little bit better with the Taylor story, but the Borges on this issue is not bad. And this is, you know, people are trying to kill Nightwing, and his buddy Wally West is involved. Not trying to kill him, but, you know, whatever. It's continuing the main story of like how Nightwing's differentiating himself from Batman, and like exploring the relationships that he has with the other, like, his generation of heroes in the universe. It's fun. It's a good read, and I still recommend it. Like, I've liked Nightwing since Taylor took it over, other than the couple issues that got shoehorned into the bullshit Fear State thing back in the day, but now it seems to be like, I have righted that ship. It's back telling the story Tom Taylor wants to tell, and it's fun. All right, we have only 2 left this week. It's a short week, people. We have Crimson Cage #4 of 5, and look at that cover. That's just a gory-ass cover. This is if you've watched my previous reviews, this is Macbeth by way of like Southern Circuit, low-level pro wrestling. And that's still this. It's still awesome. John Lee's writing on this is great. Alex Cormack's art is pretty darn good, and it's just like if you've read Macbeth or familiar with the Macbeth, like just reading this is very enjoyable to see how he's lining this all up with the story of Macbeth. How he's managing to make it seem like a natural-ish kind of fit for like weird ass Southern pro wrestling tied into the story of a tragic story of Macbeth. if you've not, it's still a pretty fun tale, and you're still along. I think you'd still be along for the ride because it's this rise to power of this this wrestler and the price he's paying for that rise to power, and he's going insane, and he's got a sort of manipulative partner that's along for the ride and also going insane, and yeah, and it's the price of power and fame and the mental toll it all takes on you. And whether or not that may be real, or what the, if the ghosts are imagined, read Macbeth and then read this. All right, last and trippiest and my favorite book of this week was Heavy Metal Drummer #2. This is bizarre. It's not going to be for everybody. It's a very fast read, and it's dirty. There's like raunchy. There's sex. There's violence. There's aliens. There's a art style that is like reminiscent of like a lot of underground kind of art. But I dug it. Like, the Heavy Metal Drummer has to save the planet from aliens, and he does that by having sex with a prostitute. It makes sense if you read it, and if you read the first one. This is actually a little more coherent than the first issue, but tied together, they've been a ton of fun. I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes. It's not going to be for everybody. And on another week, it might not have been my favorite book of the week, but I was just in the mood for this right now. And I'm in the mood for this kind of goofy, ridiculous, over-the-top, bright, underground kind of monstrosity that is Heavy Metal Drummer. Your mileage may vary on this one. Like, do not necessarily go out and buy this based on my recommendation. Open it up, take a look at it first. Look at the first issue if you can find it somewhere first, or just wait for the trade paperback on it, because it's a wacko one. And if you're looking for more of a traditional kind of story or anything else, stick with one of the these two. Stick with like Nightwing or Crimson Cage, but or Carnage. But if you just want something different, go hunt down Heavy Metal Drummer, because it's different, and I'm loving it. Like, I really am. It's obviously a little different size. It's a little bit different format. It's from Behemoth Press, so maybe not everywhere carries it. I'm sure it's not very heavily ordered. It's not a good spec book because it's just bizarre. But if you want to read the comic for the sake of reading a comic, and like do something that's just weird, like different, pick this up, or think about picking it up. Use your independent people. Don't necessarily rely on me for all this shit, because it's a heavy burden for me to carry. But anyways, that's what I had for this week. Like I said, pretty light week, pretty fast week reads for me, thankfully, because I am damned exhausted. People, it was a long night last night. I just couldn't sleep. I'm old and cranky, and I don't sleep well. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. As always, please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you know when these videos drop. Hit the like button if you actually like this kind of nonsense when I ramble on about weekly comic books. And as always, don't be a dick even if you have to have sex with a prostitute to save the world from aliens. See ya.